Hello! Welcome to You Gotta Taste This video series. Today we're going to be making sausage cheese balls. And the ingredients you're going to need. You're going to need, first of all, Bisquick. There are other baking mixes out there, but given a free plug to Bisquick and Betty Crocker, I haven't really found anything, in my opinion, that beats out Bisquick. You're also going to be needing pork sausage, a tube of it. You're going to be needing whole fennel seed, and we'll get into the reason why later on in this video. You're going to need grated Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, rosemary, an onion and garlic, and pepper jack cheese. You also can add parsley, and if you'd like to add a little bit of kick to it, we're going to also add some cilantro. This will give it an extra little bit of a kick to it, which is what I like, and that's the reason also why I'm adding pepper jack cheese, because I like my food just a little bit spicy. Not horrendously so, but a little bit. So we're going to get busy and we're going to start making our sausage cheese balls. Okay, I have already sliced up my onion using a medium onion, and I'm going to leave it in slightly bigger chunks. I may make them a little bit smaller, I'm not sure yet. And then I have sliced up 3 cloves of garlic. And when you're doing this, don't be afraid to add, if your garlic has already sprouted some of the green on top, don't be afraid to use that. It's whole ingredients and very good. It will add additional flavor. I'm probably going to go ahead and chop this up a little bit smaller, and probably my onions too. I have chopped my onions and my garlic into very fine pieces because we're going to be working with pork sausage and be making balls. So we don't want really big giant pieces of onion or garlic. So we're going to go ahead and add it to the bowl. I've already broke up the sausage. And we're going to go ahead and add the garlic and the onion into our recipe. So we want to begin to work the onion and the garlic and get it mixed up. You're not going to totally get it completely at this point. We're probably going to be adding other ingredients before we get it totally worked in together. Now, I said earlier that I was going to be using whole fennel seed. And the reason for this is fennel seed and pork sausage really give a wonderful flavor together. So we're going to sit there and add some fennel seed into this recipe. Don't want a whole lot. Probably I've just added maybe a tablespoon. Maybe. Yeah, it'd be a tablespoon. So this is going to give a really rich flavor. Fennel seed added into pork sausage is really going to make it pop and bring out the flavor tremendously. I discovered it quite by accident by just adding it to see what would happen. And the flavor was so extraordinary that I have not stopped yet. When I have an opportunity to add fennel seed to my pork sausage, I do. Even when I'm making pork sausage patties in the morning, I will sprinkle a little bit of tiny fennel seed on top of my patties to give it that extra flavor. Now, we're also going to be using some rosemary. And you don't necessarily want a whole lot of that either. Maybe about a teaspoon. And I want a little bit of extra kick to my sausage cheese balls. So, I'm going to be adding some cilantro into the recipe. And again, you don't want a whole lot. I probably have put in about 2 teaspoons. You can add more, use less, depending on what you prefer. And we want to go ahead and we want to start mixing the spices in to the sausage, letting it blend in. Now I've already measured out the 3 cups of Bisquick you're going to be needing. So you don't want to pack this down. Add the 3 cups of Bisquick. Make sure you're using a dry measure when you do this. You don't want to use the liquid measure cup, because the liquid measure cup, even though I put the mix in a liquid measure cup, I measured it out with the dry measure, because the liquid measure is going to give you more ingredient than the dry measure does. So make sure you're using the dry measure cup. And we want to start blending this in. It's going to be very stiff and very hard. You're also going to be needing a half cup of milk, so we want to add that. That's going to help us to mix this powder in, the baking mix in. So we want to make sure we spread that around, and that's going to help tremendously as far as getting this in. If you need a little bit more milk, go ahead and add it if it's too dry. Okay. We're now ready to add the cheese, and we've got a half cup of grated Parmesan that we're going to add, and 2 cups of mozzarella, and we also have a cup and a half of pepper jack. So all told, this is a very cheesy dish, and now we're going to want to start to work in the cheese and get it mixed up. Now what you're also going to want to do is to keep a little dish of flour on the side so you can your hands covered in flour. I have also, because my end result was just a little too sticky, I have added about a half cup more flour, which I'm going to go ahead and work into the mix. And I'm going to be using my hands to mix it, because now it is so thick that using a spoon is not going to work. So it's going to require manual dexterity mixing. You're also going to want to remove your rings from this, just to keep your rings clean. So even with the extra flour put in, It's still going to be a little bit sticky, and of course you have a lot of lard in the pork sausage. So either way, make sure you have your bowl of flour to help keep your hands clean. And we're also going to want, even though the fact that we have a lot of lard in the pork sausage, nevertheless, we're going to lightly spray the bottom of a glass pan with some cooking spray just to help alleviate any potential sticking. And we're also going to bake this at 350 degrees, 400. It depends on how well your oven cooks. And we're going to begin to start making little balls with the sausage and then line them up in the pan. And I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera, and we'll get back to you and we'll then show how it turns out. Okay, we have finished forming them, and this is what they're going to look like. Now, I have made my sausage balls probably a little bit bigger because the recipe says that this will supposedly make 8.5 dozen. But in my estimation, that would then, they would be like sausage roll bites. And that's just too small in my opinion. So I've made them probably slightly larger. I'm counting that I have made 37, so just one above 3 dozen. So you can tell that if I had made them to fit 8.5 dozen, these would be incredibly small. We're going to go ahead and put this in the oven. I'm going to put it in at 400 because I have a tabletop oven, so I need to adjust my temperature. And you're going to probably have to adjust your temperature depending on your style of oven. And everyone's oven is different, so you're going to have to adjust it probably accordingly. And only you know that answer. So we will be back in a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to bake it. We're going to bake this at 400 for me at 20 to 25 minutes, and maybe you might need to do it for 30 depending, because these sausage cheese balls are slightly larger. So I'm probably going to be putting it in for 30 minutes. And we will get back with you and we will show the finished product. Well, we're finally done. I had to bake it a little bit longer. I had to take a spoon and separate the sausage cheese balls, as the center was not done. And I wanted it to make sure, especially when you're dealing with pork, that it was well cooked. And I prefer a nice golden brown as well. So for 37 sausage cheese balls, it took approximately an hour. But of course, that was my tabletop model. It may not take you as long as that if you have a traditional oven or you have a convection oven, which will lessen your time cooking. So you're going to have to obviously know your oven very well and what it's capable of. But we have finally arrived, and it looks delicious, and I cannot wait to serve it up and taste it for myself. Okay, put some on a plate, and we're going to cut into this and take a good taste. Oh, it's nice and crispy. This was the outside one, so I probably got a little bit more done than the others, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to taste this. Very good. Very good. The biscuit has combined with the pork sausage, obviously, and the cheese. It's kind of like eating a breakfast biscuit with sausage, cheese, and egg. Matter of fact, you could probably serve this with either fried eggs or scrambled eggs in the morning. So it's kind of like having a breakfast biscuit, but in the form of sausage cheese balls rather than a biscuit. Very good. It is good. So, I hope you try this recipe. Definitely worth making. And remember, you gotta taste this.